Welcome to Eddie's podcast. Nothing less than a magnificent show, hosted by Eddie Stevens and his much better half, Jackie. Are you ready? I sure as hell know I am. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this magnificent podcast. Just go to www.eddiepodcast.com and click that subscribe button.
There is a great disturbance in the force. I have felt it. Eddie's podcast? They prophesied this day would come, and now it's time for Jackie's segment and her insight on the Star Wars universe. I must stop her. Commander Cody, the time has come. Execute Order 66.
And now it's time for the Jackie segment, where we are going to talk about Season 7, Episode 11 of The Clone Wars. Jackie, are you with me?
Hi, I'm with you. How are you today?
I'm really good. I'm so good.
How good are you?
Episode 11 of The Clone Wars. Maul has been taken prisoner by Ahsoka and the clones, and the Jedi Order is coming to an end as we know it. Shattered, Part 3 of the show's story arc, takes place on the eve of Order 66, which we know from the prequels as Darth Sidious's plan to wipe out all the Jedi.
As Ahsoka and Bo-Katan look out at the smoking remains of Mandalore, Bo gets a little sentimental and says, I really wish I was good at something other than war. Ahsoka thinks for a minute and reminds her, your people are going to need a different kind of leader after this. I mean, Mandalore has gone from Duchess Satine's rule, which was a very pacifist way of life, to Darth Maul, who was the exact opposite. And now they need a new leader. And Ahsoka points that out to Bo.
As the two warriors speak, Rex comes to Ahsoka to participate in a holocall with the Jedi Council, where she tells him she has Maul and will be returning Maul to the Council.
We walk right into the Council meeting as we know it from Revenge of the Sith. The Jedi Council immediately thank Ahsoka for capturing Darth Maul, and Yoda says that she's done the Republic a great service. Yoda then informs her that Obi-Wan is hunting down General Grievous, and Ahsoka points out that the war is very close to over. She had hoped to speak to Skywalker, but Yoda tells her that that is not possible. Mace Windu is less certain that the war is close to over. That depends on the Chancellor. The dark side has been very strong, and the Chancellor has seemed to be in the middle of the dark side. So Mace Windu is in the process of figuring out that Palpatine is Sidious, and Sidious is the one, as we know, who was the architect of the Clone Wars. So again, this fits into Revenge of the Sith very, very neatly.
But Yoda stays on the call, sensing there might be something wrong with Ahsoka.
Rather than relaying any information to Anakin via Yoda, she chooses to hold back the knowledge that she has, which is that Darth Maul revealed to her that Anakin Skywalker has been groomed to be Sidious's apprentice for years. She chooses not to reveal that to Yoda. And I think it's very interesting to think about what might have been if she had chosen to confide in Yoda there, or just to give Yoda the information to pass on to Anakin. But I do think it was very important to Ahsoka she had such a strong reaction when Maul said Anakin is being groomed as Sidious's apprentice. She had such a strong reaction to that. I really think she wanted to see Anakin's face and see his reaction when she told him that.
This is where we get into the politics of Mandalore, and we see Bo and Ahsoka discussing the need for new leadership.
It's interesting because we don't know a lot about Mandalorian politics from this point in time to the point where we pick up with the TV show The Mandalorian. We know at this moment in time that they are a very prideful, strong technology warrior race of people, but we don't know how they ended up living in the sewers of these small, obscure planets and never taking their helmets off. Again, we very clearly see Bo-Katan speaking face to face with Ahsoka and other people. They clearly take their helmets off. Hopefully we find out what the change is when Mandalorian Season 2 comes back.
En route to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, in the calm of hyperspace, both Rex and Ahsoka reflect. It's a beautiful visual as they travel through hyperspace, and you can really see their conflicted feelings about the Clone Wars.
Ahsoka says, we were told we were keepers of the peace, but ever since I was a Padawan, I've been a warrior. There is clearly a conflict within her, and I think that's one of the reasons why she and Obi-Wan were not as close, because really the politics of all this just really frustrated her. She was guided by her moral compass, and it really would bother her when Obi-Wan was guided by politics or the greater good. And I think it especially bothered her that after a while, as you watch the Clone Wars cartoon series, it feels like Obi-Wan is just using that, well, we're keepers of the peace, we can't really get involved, we're not warriors, as an excuse. You see him use it on Mandalore with Duchess Satine, and you get the feeling that everyone's frustrated with him because at this juncture, he's more using it as just a, the same way you say to your kids, I'm your dad now, do what I say. That was his spiel. We're not warriors. I can't participate in your war. So Ahsoka does have a bunch of mixed feelings about it.
Rex and Ahsoka have a discussion about the clones and their friendship, and this is all right before Sidious issues Order 66.
Literally go from this moment to Rex leaving for an update meeting with the other clones. He thinks he's going to find out how Obi-Wan is doing with General Grievous, and instead Sidious gives Order 66, saying very specifically the Jedi are to be executed for their crimes of treason. So as Rex leaves for this meeting, Ahsoka is standing on the bridge alone at this point, and she starts having all these voices come to her through the Force. And you get a Hayden Christensen appearance. You get both Anakin Skywalker voices, both Matt Latner and Hayden Christensen come to her through the Force. Mace Windu, Sidious, aka Palpatine, all those voices come to her through the Force, and she doesn't understand completely because she doesn't have a place for it yet, but she hears Mace Windu's death or the battle. She hears Anakin's betrayal of the Jedi Order, and she just really doesn't know what to think of it. What she doesn't know is that democracy dies as Darth Vader is born.
But they still haven't brought back David Prowse, the original actor who played the body of Darth Vader.
Why don't we leave that for another time? Now, as we continue with the Clone Wars, we know that Maul is also sensing things through the Force as Ahsoka is having her Force revelations.
Ahsoka immediately approaches Rex, stating something is wrong with Anakin.
Rex and his brothers surround Ahsoka, and they start shooting at her. She immediately goes into warrior mode and is deflecting them and trying to save herself. She battles her way out of the room to very intense musical accompaniment. If you were in another room listening to this and not watching it, you would know it was a battle scene. Rex is able to fight through the chip enough to say to Ahsoka, go look up Fives' file. Fives was an ARC trooper who knew about the biochip implants, and Rex knew that Fives knew about them.
We know about Fives from prior episodes.
Fives did have his own small arc on an earlier season of Clone Wars, so we absolutely know who Fives is. So we've had this suspicion for a long time. Meanwhile, as Ahsoka is fighting her way out of the room and escapes, the other clones are looking at Rex like, she got away. Are you all right, dude? And he just says, well, I'm really, really tired. And then I think personally, to compensate for the loss of Ahsoka, he immediately orders that Maul is executed, and he reiterates that Ahsoka is to be killed, the Jedi are to be killed for treason, and any clones that do not follow this directive from Sidious will also be executed.
Ahsoka approaches Maul with some trepidation. Is this your doing? Choose your words carefully. The clones turned against me. I don't know why.
This causes the light bulb to go off for Maul. Here he has the full understanding that Sidious has used the Jedi's own clones against them, and that he used the clones to wipe out the Jedi. Now, at this point, Maul misreads Ahsoka's intention, thinking that she has come to join him, and that is not the case at all. She will free him if he provides some chaos to help her escape. Don't make me regret this, Ahsoka says to Maul as she releases him. Just go out and make chaos so that I can figure out what's going on.
Distraction, diversion, you are talking about total chaos, and it is so beautifully intertwined with the score. Kevin Kiner, who is following John Williams as the Star Wars scorer, does an unbelievable job complementing the animation visuals with this emotional Latin music.
Ahsoka comes across a trio of very distressed little astromechs, and I really feel strongly that one of these little droids is Chopper, Hera's droid from Rebels. The voice seems so familiar. But anyway, these astromechs agree to help her, and they immediately plug into the ship, and they're able to find the file on Fives so that she's able to learn about the implant.
Maul tears a path through the 501st Forces aboard the destroyer, armed only with the Force. This scene is like the Vader scene going through rebellion soldiers one by one. Meanwhile, Ahsoka and the droids kidnap Rex and take him to the medical bay.
They are having a difficult time locating the chip. They've kidnapped Rex. They've got him to med bay. They've laid him out. The other clone soldiers are trying desperately to get in there because the only thing they're focused on is killing Ahsoka. And somehow Ahsoka needs to find this chip because it's not showing up on the scans. So she starts joining the Force with Rex. I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. Rex starts repeating this back to her, and before you know it, they've located the chip via the Force, and she is able to instruct one of the droids to go ahead and take it out, as all the other clones are, basically busting their way through the door.
By the time Rex wakes and reaches for his blasters at his side, the surgery's been completed and it looks like he's his old self again. He blasts his own men to save Ahsoka. The doors are closed.
He immediately apologizes and says to Ahsoka, I'm so sorry for what happened earlier. She, of course, just waves it off and says, don't worry about it. You weren't yourself. And he says, but I almost killed you. And she's like, listen, what I really need to know is how widespread is this? And Rex immediately tells her it's all of us, that the entire Grand Army of the Republic has been ordered to hunt down and kill the Jedi Knights.
The clones begin to break through the door again. The music swells. Next week, episode 12, The Clone Wars come to an end. So I'd like to thank Jacquie for joining me on this awesome discussion about episode 11 of The Clone Wars, and we have one more episode to go. Jacquie, thank you for joining me. I love you.
We love you too.
Join me next week for a brand new edition of Eddie's podcast. And in the meantime, please do something that matters.
So another chapter ends, another book concludes, and another story has been told. Are we better for it? I'm afraid the answer to that has been lost for hundreds of years. Okay, nonetheless, be sure to join us next week for another edition of Eddie's podcast. And subscribe, damn it. Go to www.eddiepodcast.com. Put it this way, if I could subscribe twice, I probably would. Lastly, I leave you with an age-old quote. By the beard of Zeus, go do something that matters. Stay classy, stay safe.